In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a $4,000 AI receptionist and sell it to local businesses. I was able to build this AI receptionist and sold it to a dentist clinic for $4,000. If you think about it, these AI receptionists actually make a lot of sense for these businesses. It helps their businesses grow and bring them more customers. Let's say it's 9 p.m. and you want to make a quick call and make an appointment for your dentist clinic. You dial in the phone number, you call, and no one picks up. It goes straight to voicemail. That's a big problem for these businesses, right? If you were able to solve that, you can bring them so many more customers. You can literally grow their business by a lot. If you can communicate that point to them, the missing calls, the amount of money they're missing, the amount of customers that are not booking, if you can communicate that to them, selling these receptionists are the easiest thing in the world. So let's get into the tutorial, and I'm gonna show you step by step how you can build your own and start selling it. In this full tutorial, we're going to learn how to build an AI receptionist. So my name is Abe. I help local businesses do exactly the same. So I build AI automations for their business so that they stop missing calls, get in front of more clients, and just overall manage their business in a more productive way. So, before we dive deep into why we're using these tools, let me give you a quick demo of how our AI receptionist works. Here's the demo. So, this is the number I'm going to call.
This is James. How can I help you today?
Hi, James. I want to make an appointment.
Of course, I can help you with that. May I have your name, please?
It's Mike Smith.
Thank you, Mike Smith. What date and time are you looking to schedule your appointment?
I was wondering if you have any time available for tomorrow at 9:30 a.m.
It looks like we don't have any availability for tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Would you like to try a different time? I can offer you two alternatives. How about tomorrow at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m.?
Yeah, 10 a.m. works. Let's do 10 a.m.
Your choice. Just to confirm, I'll book you for tomorrow, November 3rd at 10 a.m. What type of service do you need?
What kind of services do you guys offer?
We offer a variety of services, including routine cleaning, comprehensive exam and x-rays, emergency visit, fillings, restorations, tooth extraction, and cosmetic consultation. Which one would you like to book?
I'll book the routine cleaning.
Got it. So you're booking a routine cleaning for tomorrow, November 3rd at 10 a.m. Can I have your email address to complete the booking?
It's Mike Smith 2025 10 at gmail.com.
Just to confirm, your email is mikesmith202510 at gmail.com, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
You're all set, Mike. Your appointment for a routine cleaning is confirmed for tomorrow, November 3rd at 10 a.m. You'll receive a confirmation email shortly. Do you have dental insurance that you'd like us to note? Also, do you need any accessibility accommodations or have any allergy or medical notes to record?
No, I think I'm fine.
All right, no problem at all. If you need anything else or have any questions before your appointment, feel free to reach out. Have a great day, Mike.
Thank
And
you.
we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Bye. All right, from here you have two choices. You can either keep watching this full tutorial where I will cover exactly how to build your own AI receptionist. It's going to be challenging, but if you follow closely, you can build your own using this tutorial. Option two, if you just want to get to selling as fast as possible, and if you don't want to watch this full tutorial and go through all the headaches of building your own AI receptionist, you can click the link in the description below and purchase the package for the pre-built AI receptionist. This is not a free package, it's a purchase package. So once you purchase that, you can plug in your client's info. It literally takes you 5 minutes to plug in the client's information. So let's say you're working with a plumber. It takes you 5 minutes to plug in their info and your AI receptionist is ready. There will be a short tutorial in the package about 5 minutes or so, that also shows you how to plug and play so that you don't get confused once you purchase the package. And also there will be a free one-on-one call in case you run into any issues when you buy the package. So for those of you who wants to go that route, you're very welcome. It's going to save you a lot of time. And for those of you who want to build their own, let's get started. Okay, so let's understand the blueprint and why we're using these tools that we have here. So Vapi.ai, we're going to use this tool to basically build our AI agent. This is going to be our front end. So all the front end interaction is going to be done here. And then we have make.com, where we're going to build all our backend interactions and logic that our AI receptionist needs. Cal.com is where we kind of manage our appointments. So it's going to be our database for the appointments. And then we are going to manage our cal.com using make.com. So all the interactions that are going to happen with cal.com is going to be done through make.com. And then we are going to use Gmail, which is going to be programmed through make.com. And this is going to be used to send confirmation emails to clients or businesses. So just to give you a quick overview, this is how it's integrated through make.com. And these are the modules that are going to send. So these are the modules that are going to send emails to clients or businesses. And then we have Stripe. We are going to use Stripe to send payment links to customers. For those customers who want to make the payment online and save time. So for this clinic that we're working with, so this imaginary clinic also offers online payments. So in case the customer wants to make a online payment, we're going to send them a payment link through make.com, which they will receive through their email. So once they receive the email, they can click on the link and make their payment for their appointment, basically. So now that you have a pretty clear idea of what each of these tools are going to be used for, let's dive deep into the first tool, which is going to be Vapi. So if you don't have a Vapi account, it's pretty simple. Just go to vapi.ai, make an account, and then click on Create Assistant. And then from there, you'll get to this page where you'll have the option to choose your model. The model that I chose for my agent is GPT-4o mini cluster. And the reason I chose this specific AI model is because this one does not hallucinate as much as the other ones. I've noticed when I use the other models for clients in the past, sometimes they report back saying that the AI receptionist is hallucinating and it's giving really long answers and all sort of things. So I've learned that this model is pretty stable so far, and I haven't seen any issues with it. So we're going to use this one for this demo. And then after that, your first message. So for this sample, agent is basically going to say, "Thanks for calling Happy Smile. This is James. How can I help you today?" And you can customize this to however you want for the business that you're working with. And from there, in our system prompt, we're basically going to describe what our AI agent is going to do and the functions that it needs to have. So, so first, I like to basically give an identity to my agent. And then for the operational context, I've given it info on the time zones, the operation hours of the clinic, the office operations of the clinic, and also a reference time so that it knows what time zone we're in. If you don't do this, it messes up the appointment times. So if you're in Pacific Standard Time and if you don't specify this, it could look at the times as Eastern Time, which messes up your entire system. So it's important to mention these in our operational context. And then I have another section that's for strict data handling and weekend rules. So again, we're trying to give it as much information as possible so that it knows what it's supposed to do. So we're not available on the weekends. And let's say if the customer wants to make an appointment that falls on a weekend day, then it needs to inform them that the office is closed on that day. So these are all the front end type of info that we need to give our agent here. The service menu for pricing of the specific business you're working with. So in this case, I'm working with a dentist clinic. These are just sample prices for the services they offer. So for example, for preventative care, their cost is $1. And then I went a little bit further here and give it a voice tone and a pronunciation style, just to make our agent a little bit have a little bit of a personality and don't sound like a robot. And now for the most important part, which is going to be our workflow. So when the customer calls, the receptionist needs to be able to keep on the conversation and move the conversation forward. So that's where our flows come in. The first flow that we're going to have is book an appointment. So when the customer calls and if they want to make an appointment, the AI receptionist will go through this flow. It's going to ask them, it's going to collect their name, the time they want to book their appointment. So by the way, these are variables that we're going to collect. And Vapi, this is how they're going to be collected. The time that they want to make the appointment, the type of service they need. So those are going to be the variables that we're going to collect from the user before we move forward with even checking that we have that spot available for them, which is going to be done in make.com. But this is how the function is going to be triggered. So functions in vapi.ai are written like this. So these are all functions. These are all variables. And then let's say that we collect all this information from the user, we verify the slot and the slot is available. Then we move on to the next step and ask them if they want to make the payment online. So this is kind of the flow that we're gonna go with for booking an appointment. And let's say the customer calls and they want to reschedule an appointment. This is the flow that we're going to go with if they want to reschedule an appointment. Let's say they want to cancel an appointment. This is the kind of flow that we're going to go with to cancel their appointment. So for canceling their appointment, we only need their name and email, and then we call the cancel function, which is void schedule visit for this specific system prompt, and then we send them an email. So basically, that's the flow that we're gonna go. So these are the flows that we're gonna go with for this receptionist. Let's say the receptionist cannot help them with whatever issue they have. So we want to be able to also transfer their call to a live person. So let's say you're working with a plumbing company and this receptionist is going to be answering all their calls. But sometimes if a customer wants something that the receptionist cannot help with, if they're asking for something that you haven't trained your receptionist on, then it's going to direct the call to our backup live person and they can help them that way. Or if they explicitly want to talk to a human agent, or sometimes there could be some errors that happen. Let's say for whatever reason, we get an error when the customer is asking a question, or the customer explicitly want to talk with a human agent, or for whatever reason, we need to have a backup line of an actual person in case something goes wrong with the AI receptionist. So there's someone that we can rely on to answer these calls if things go completely wrong, which 95% of the time doesn't. But in case it does, we want to be able to capture those calls. So let's say you're working with a plumbing company and your AI receptionist basically answers all their calls. You want to have the owner's phone number as the backup, or let's say the owner is not the one that answers the calls, but there's a manager that can answer the calls in case things don't work out, or have them as a backup. You can have their number here and it'll transfer the call to that person if things go wrong, which 95% of the time doesn't. All right, so that covers our system prompts. So there's not much else we can do here. From here, we're going to build our functions. So these are the functions that I've built. So before we add the functions here, we need to build them. So to build them, you go to Tools, you click on Create New Tool. So for example, I've created this one, which is Client Payment. So this tool is going to be responsible for processing the client payment. So let's go over this. For a description, we describe what the functionality of this function is so that our AI understands what this function is being used for. So this one handles the collection of payment details to finalize the transaction. And in order to actually fulfill or process this function, we need to create some variables that are going to collect the information that we need. So we need customer name, we need total payment, we need customer email, and we need transaction description. So we want to make these required. So if you click here, you want to make sure that you click here so that they're required by the agent. Otherwise, it will not collect them. And then once we pass information to make.com, things are going to break. So make sure you click required. That's really important. And then from there, the only other change we're going to make is the connection to make.com. That's going to happen here. But let's wait for now. Let's cover these other functions and we're going to come back to that. So the next one I have here is transfer call tool. So this is where we specify our transfer phone number. So this is the sample phone number that I have here. Use this if you encounter any issues during the call or if the user requests to talk to a human. So this function is going to basically transfer the client to our backup real human. And to make these functions, it's a little bit different. So you go to, instead of creating our normal functions, you create the transfer call function. And the next one we have is canceling the appointment. So basically the same thing. For this one, we only need the customer name and email. For the second one, we specify we specify what the function does, and then for this one, we grab the name, email, and the requested new time. So the requested new time is different from requested original time because this is the date that we're gonna replace the original time, and we're gonna see how that's done in make.com. Booking the appointment. So basically, same thing. We describe it, and then we want to make sure we grab all this information from them. And for verifying if the spot is available in our calendar, for this one, we only need the requested time. All right, so from here, let's see how we can connect our Vapi to make.com. So if you do not have a make.com account, go to make.com, sign up, and create an account. From there, you're going to go to scenarios, create a new scenario, and then you'll get to a page like this. So from there, the first thing that we're going to do is create a webhook. A webhook will allow us to communicate with Vapi. So double click, add module, and then from there you'll create a webhook. Once you create your module, you're going to go to add. From add, you're gonna name your module. So I've already created one here, but essentially when you name your module, you save it, it's going to give you a webhook URL. And that's the URL that we're going to use to add to all our functions in Vapi.ai. So basically copy that exact URL, go to your server URL and paste exactly the same URL that you got from there. So once you do that, you can save it. Okay, so now that you've created your webhook, we can run a quick test to make sure that our module is actually receiving info. So to do that, we're gonna go back to our Vapi.ai and then make sure everything is saved here, obviously. Then go back to your assistant. And before we run the test, we want to make sure that all the functions that we created here are added to our agent. From there, you can either make a call. I like to just chat with the receptionist. So for example, I'm going to ask it to make me an appointment. So in the chat, you can talk like a normal customer would. You can start saying, hey, I want to make an appointment. Or for testing purposes, I just want to give it this full prompt that contains all the information that it needs to trigger the function. Which one is it? That contains all the information it needs to trigger the verify slot function. So I'm gonna run this, and I want to start this module. So run this module. So I'm going to give it this prompt that's asking to make an appointment for this date. So let's enter this. And before we do this, we want to make sure our module is running so we can grab that. Let's see. Yes. Can you please say the phone number? The desired. So it looks like the request was sent. So if you see this, it means that the response was actually sent. So if you click on these little check marks, go to messages. From messages, you can go to the tool calls. Under the collections, we can see the function that was sent. So this function that was sent was verify slot, because in our Vapi.ai prompt, if you see again, in order to book an appointment, first we need to verify the slot. So it looks like this is working as expected, and the function verify slot was called with this variable, and the variable is the time that the user requested. So let's look at the time. It's 9 a.m. So everything is good here. Our connection is good. All right, guys. So from here, if you want to get the pre-built AI receptionist, just a reminder, it's in the description below. If you want to save time and don't want to go through the headache of building this on your own, which takes a lot of time, I know, and it's kind of complicated if you don't have a lot of experience building tools in make.com and Vapi. So if you are someone who just wants to get to selling and you don't want to go through all the headache of building this tool yourself, you can go ahead, click on the link below, purchase the package. After you purchase it, you'll get access to all the files and everything that's pre-built. And then that's it, you can get to selling. You don't have to go through the headache of building all this yourself. But if you want to keep watching this video and build it your own, you're also welcome. So let's get back to the video. All right, once we've established that our connection is working, we can start mapping out our variables. So I'm going to connect our webhook with a tool. Again, to create the tool, you can go to add module, go to tools, and then you can link it. But I've already created mine, so I'm gonna click here. And as you can see, we're going to map out each variable that we have. For example, we have all these variables here. We want to make sure that we map it out. And to get these variables to show up, we need to call them via our agent each time. So since I've already made a call for requested original time, I can see it here. So let me show you an example. So if I click here and go to tool call, go to functions, go to arguments, I can see requested original time. So as you're mapping this out, you want to make a call to each of the functions you're working with. So again, you can come back here, go to chat, and start talking with the receptionist and making all those function calls. So for example, the next function call would be rescheduling, reserving, processing the payment, and canceling the appointment, so on and so forth. But you get the idea. Since we already called verify slot function, we're able to actually get the value here. Um, so the way that we add the value is we go to tool calls, go to functions, and our argument is going to show up here. So if you're going to add customer name, this is going to be called through our reserve appointment function. You're going to be able to see it in the function arguments here. Okay, so from there, we're going to use a router to split our scenarios into 5 different routes. So for example, the first route that we're going to have is verify slot, which was called in our first test. For this, we're going to use a GET request, an HTTP GET request, to get the available slots from cal.com. Okay, and to do that, we need to connect our make.com to cal.com. So the way that we connect our module here to cal.com, as we talked about here, is going to be through the credentials. So you're going to add, I already added mine here, but you're going to add your keychain. So you can name it whatever you want. And looking at the cal.com documents, you're going to need to add this keyword to your key and then paste in your key. So how do you get your key for cal.com? If you don't have an account in cal.com, you can create one and then go to settings, go to API keys, create an API key, and then name it. So you can name it whatever you want. And then I like to set it to never expire. And then once you do that, it'll generate a code. So you copy that code from here, go back here, paste the code here. So it's going to look like something like this. So paste that in there, and everything else from here can stay the same. You click create and it creates your credentials. And then for the header, you can read through this documents from cal.com, but essentially this is what we're going to need. And we're going to use the after start and before end to be able to pull the 30-minute slots that are available in our calendar. So for after start, we're gonna add the value of the original time that was passed on to by our agent. And then I'm going to add 30 minutes to that because we want to make sure that the full 30-minute slot is available. So let's say if the start time is 9 a.m., after adding the 30-minute slots, we want to make sure that by the end of that 30-minute slot, there are no other appointments. So that's why we're doing that. And I have some formatting because the way that data is passed through Vapi.ai is a little bit different. So we need to format it this way. And everything else can stay the same here. And from there, we have no settings here. Okay, so let's look at the sample that I ran here. If we go to data, so in output, we can see what happened in this module. So we go to data, we can see that it was successful, and then we can see one available slot in that time. And then we can see one appointment that happened in that time. So this was an appointment that I had canceled for testing purposes. As you can see, even though the slot is available, it still returns one collection. So the way to basically iterate through all of those collections, because you could have multiple collections here in your data array, and let's say all of them are canceled. You want to make sure you iterate through all the cancel ones so that you don't accidentally say that the slot is full when it's not. So the way that I've done that here is I have a iterator that's going to iterate through that, and then if it's only going to be passed if it's accepted. So if the status, let's go back here. So if the status for our appointment is canceled, it obviously is not going to go through this. It's only going to go through if it is accepted. So in the case that there are accepted appointments in that slot, it's going to be routed to not available. And in the case that there are no accepted appointments in that slot, it's going to be routed to the available appointments. So if the array length is less than one, meaning there are nothing in there, so array length in this case is 0. If it's 0, it means there are no appointments in that time, which is going to go through this route, and this route is going to create a webhook response saying that the desired time frame is available to book. And then this will go back to our agent, and the agent will understand that this time is good to book. But if it's not, let's say if our array length is more than 1 and there are actually appointments scheduled in that time, then we're going to go to not available route. And for not available route, I'm basically telling it to go through this route only if the array length is bigger than 1. In a case like this, I'm going to use OpenAI module, which we can add from here. So we're going to use OpenAI module to basically use the requested original time and then find the hour after and the hour before the requested time. So if you haven't already, you can make a connection to your OpenAI account. Once you do that, everything else can stay the same here. So we're basically going to give it this prompt. In this prompt, if the input original requested time is 10 a.m., we want to expect the output from this module to be 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. So 1 hour before and 1 hour after. And that's how we're going to give the user two alternative slots. So let's say the time they requested was 10 and that time was not available. So we're going to look for the slots available 1 hour before and 1 hour after. I hope that makes sense. And then after that, we have our 30-minute slots found. So once we get those 2 hours from OpenAI, we're going to search through them and make sure we find all the available slots. Okay, from there, we're going to make another GET request to cal.com. In this case, we're using the slots available. So this is going to be the API URL that we're going to use, and everything else can stay the same here. And in this case, we're using the start time and end time. So for our start time is going to be the first one that we got from OpenAI, and the end time is going to be the second one. And the only thing that you really need to change here is your event type ID. And the event type ID can be found in your cal.com. So let's say you're working with a plumbing company, and this is the event type that you've created for them. When you click on this, it obviously shows all the settings that you can make for the calendar, but the thing that we're looking for is this number. So this number needs to match the value that you provide for event type ID, because cal.com is going to use that in order to pull all these slots available. So you can enter that there. Everything else can stay the same here. Once we get all the available slots for those hours, we're going to pass all of that to OpenAI again so that we can find the closest time available to the time that the user had requested. OpenAI will go through those numbers, and it's going to give us the two best slots available, and we're going to present that to the client. So here we're basically giving OpenAI the array of available slots that we got from here, and then we're asking it to give us the two closest times to the time that the user requested. So that is going to output two options, and from there we're going to create our webhook response. So we're basically going to say we can fit you in at time or this time. The original time that you requested is not available, and then they can choose the time that they want from those two options. Let's move on to the second one. The second route is going to be reserving the visit. So if the function name equals reserve visit, we're going to go through this route. Okay, now we're going to use the HTTP post request, and this is where we're going to send the user's name, email, and their requested time to cal.com in order to make that appointment in our calendar. So everything else can stay the same here. The only thing that you're going to change is adding your variables to this request context. So once you do that, it's going to push the event to your calendar. So the event will show up in your bookings. So these are the tests that I've done in the past, but basically it's going to show up there. And once the appointment is pushed through, we also want to send the customer an email that their appointment was successfully booked. So to do that, we're going to use Gmail. It's pretty straightforward. You click add, you make a connection to your Gmail, and you're good to go. So this is the message that they're going to receive. Your appointment has been successfully scheduled for this time. Thank you. So you can obviously change this to however you want, but this is just for testing purposes, and it's a short email. But obviously you can add a lot more things here to make it much more professional. And then from there, once we send the email, we're going to respond back to Vapi, because Vapi doesn't know that we did all these things, right? So we're going to tell Vapi, we've scheduled your appointment for this time. Keep an eye out for the confirmation email in your inbox. And then Vapi knows that we've created their appointment. The third function that we're going to have is modifying an already existing appointment. So we're basically going to do the same thing that we did here, but with a little bit of a twist. We're going to only pull for the appointments that contain this specific name and this specific email. And once we do that, we want to make sure that we iterate through all the slots that we get to filter out the canceled appointments, because there could be canceled appointments that make.com can't distinguish. So we need to make sure that we have an iterator for that to filter out the canceled ones. So we iterate through them and we only pass the accepted ones. So from there, once we find the accepted appointment, we're going to use that appointment to replace it with the new appointment that the user is requesting for. So in this case, we're using the UID. So again, you can go back to the cal.com documents and read through their APIs. But essentially, to make the modification, we're going to use the UID and we're going to make a post request. Everything else can stay the same here. I've already done the research for you, but if you want, you can read through the cal.com documents. But as far as the time of this recording, everything else can stay the same here. And then we're obviously passing through the new requested time. Cal.com is going to delete the original requested time with the requested new time. And then we can also send another email to the user that your appointment was rescheduled. And then we let Vapi know that this appointment was updated and rescheduled. Okay, so for payments, basically the same thing. We want to make sure that the text operator equals to process client payment. If it does, we're going to go to the Stripe API call. And to make a connection with your Stripe account is pretty simple. You click on Add, you pick the API key, and then to get your API key, you can go to your Stripe account, search for API, API keys, and then you're going to create restricted key. For this one, I just picked the first one, continue. I'm going to do the first one. And from here, you can create your key. Oops, we need to name it first, test. We can create it. And then you go through verifying your email. But I'm not going to do that. So you verify your email. It wants to make sure that you're the actual owner of the account. Once you do that, it'll give you the API key. So you can copy the API key that it gives you and go back to make.com, and then you're going to paste it here. Okay, so you can read through the Stripe's API key information, but I've already done the research for you. Everything else can stay the same here for posting. So the unit amount, the way that Stripe system work is it wants everything formatted and sent. So whatever number we pass here, we're going to multiply it by 100 to get the actual dollar value. And then I'm passing my product description. It's a one-time payment. Everything else can stay the same here. So once our post module is completed, we're going to create our payment link. So everything else can stay the same here. Again, you're welcome to read through the documents, but essentially we're going to create the payment link, and using the body ID, we send the payment information. And once we do that, we want to make sure that the user actually receives the payment link. So we come back here, and this is where we're going to add our payment URL, which can be found in body. And from there, we're going to send another response back to Vapi saying that the payment link has been sent to them. Moving on to the last one, canceling or voiding scheduled appointment. This one is pretty simple. We're basically doing the same thing that we did for rescheduling an appointment. We're going to pull using the cal.com get request all the appointments that contain the user's name and their email, and then from there we're going to iterate through them to make sure that they're actually accepted and not the canceled ones from the past. So we pass that through here, and we want to make sure we only look at the accepted ones, and then we're going to use the cal.com cancel appointment API. So again, just like rescheduling the appointment, we're going to use the UID to replace that. Okay, the only thing that's going to be different here is the request context. We basically are going to want to make sure it looks something like this. So the cancellation reason, we want to have a reason for the cancellation, and then we're going to parse the response. From there, we want to make sure that we send a confirmation email to the user that their appointment was canceled, and then we want to let Vapi know that the appointment was canceled. Let's run a test and make sure that our system is actually working properly. So I'm going to paste this prompt here. I hope you can see this screen. Let me move this a little bit. Yes, that's correct. You mentioned, okay, it went through. It's available. So, yes, online. Let's also test if the payment link works. Your payment link was sent. An appointment was scheduled. So now if we go back to make.com, we can see everything that happened. So I'm going to go to the request that was made a few minutes ago. So as you can see, the requested time slot was actually available the first time, but since I'm running it for the second time, it's going to go through the not available because it was already booked, right? So that's how we know this was working. And then to run the second request we made was for the payment. Oh, this one was for booking the appointment. So as you can see, it went through and made the booking. Let's see. Your appointment was booked. Yeah, so this one went through. And let's look at the other one that was made. So we tested this one. Let's look at this one. Nope, same. 37. Maybe this one. So that one was for the payment. And let's see if it actually worked. Payment link sent. So this is how, by clicking on these arrows, you can see what happened when the module actually run. So I'm just looking through the, it was sent, everything is good. And now to double check in your email. So as you can see, I received a confirmation email that my appointment was scheduled. And then I also received confirmation for the payment link. And once you click on the payment link, you're going to this link, which will ask you for the payment. And also let's make sure that the appointment actually shows up in our calendar. So if we go back to Vapi, we made the appointment for July 6th. So we're gonna go back to our calendar. The appointment is made for July 6th. That should cover everything. If you have any questions and you want to work with me directly, you can go to the link in the description. You can either create a one-on-one call with me. We can go through any of the issues you have with your code, any of the bugs you're facing. Sometimes the connection between these tools get corrupted. So it doesn't communicate properly. If you have issues with that, we can work on it together to sort out your issues. Or if you want the pre-built AI receptionist that's done for you, the only thing you do is add the client's information to it, and then you go live, start selling, basically. If you want that, you can click here and purchase this package. It contains its own little tutorial that shows you how to go live so you don't get confused. And also there's a one-on-one setup call that you can use if you face any issues. Most people don't even need that call, but if you do face any issues, feel free to use your free call. But anyways, guys, I hope you found this video useful. And remember, guys, with the boom of AI, with all these automations coming out, these businesses need these tools. Like if you don't do it, another person is gonna do it and make money. So I hope that this video was helpful, and I hope that you take the necessary actions to start selling. And let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.